This windswept beach is home to a very strange natural phenomena, which also makes it one of the most perilous beaches in Europe. Find out why in just a moment. On today's show, I'm helping two enthusiastic sailors find a countryside village in which to drop anchor. They have a very specific agenda. So these beams are not too low for you?
Not for me.
They're marginal, but they're not, yes. I wouldn't like them any lower.
And are very excitable.
It feels so airy and spacious but also inviting. There's something really nice about this.
Yeah.
Today I'm in Dorset, and this is Chesil Beach, the longest shingle bar in Europe. And back in the 18th and 19th century, it was sadly the site of many drownings and shipwrecks because of the very strong tidal currents. But that same sea has a curious effect because it hits the 18-mile-long beach at an angle. It perfectly self-selects and arranges the pebbles. At that end, near Portland, they're as big as my fist, and right at the other end at Burton Bradstock, they're like little peas. And the rest of Dorset's quite interesting too. Buying a property in Dorset is quite expensive. If you look at the average price of a detached house, it's £316,000. That's 25% above the national figure. But if you scratch the surface, that is a little bit misleading, and the distortion is caused by the presence of sandbanks, the multi-millionaire's playground down by the seaside near Poole. If you take that out of the equation, you can still buy a very reasonable house along this lovely rugged coastline, but further westwards towards Weymouth. Now, our buyers today are both very keen on the sea, so let's see if they'd be interested in buying a coastal residence in Dorset. Retired couple Hugh and Christine have spent the last 21 years in the town of Petersfield, Hampshire. But they feel now is the time to leave the family home behind and begin a new chapter in their life out in the country.
Now that we've both retired in the last 18 months, we really want to think about the next 20 years.
This house has served us beautifully for bringing up a family, but it's not what we're looking for the next stage in our life.
It's the new era for us. The children have grown up, left home. We want a house that we can enjoy with them and their family and participate in the activities.
Key to the location of the new house is proximity to a shared passion.
We have a yacht and we need to have it fairly reasonably near to where we live.
Well, we've only had the boat for 2 years so far. We've had to do a lot of work to bring it up to spec.
It'll be also really nice just to go out whenever we want to and just look at the sky and say, oh, it's a perfect sailing day.
When it comes to style, they know what they're looking for.
The new house we'd like to be a bit quirky and not run-of-the-mill.
We want to accommodate the family when they come along. They're all growing up and getting their own families, so grandchildren are going to be on the horizon. We have one already. And I just thought a double garage with provision for accommodation on top so that they can be self-sufficient would be ideal. I would like the new property, I would like to have an open fire.
On the other hand, I'm not so sure about that because I always think of the dirt they create and the dust everywhere, and I know who will be doing that.
And they're not necessarily after the finished article.
We would like something that we feel that we can develop and improve. We would like to be able to bespoke a building to our needs.
All that remains is to discover the financial detail for their Dorset relocation.
The maximum budget we have to spend would be £650,000, but that would be for a house that was perfect to our liking and didn't need anything spent on it.
Hugh and Christine have asked us to concentrate our search within a reasonable distance from the south coast, with Bournemouth and Weymouth possible mooring venues for their yacht. I met up with them on local soil to find out more about what they're after. Hugh and Christine, good morning.
Good morning.
A beautiful Dorset morning, slightly overcast, but in terms of the house, what's the spec? Hugh, what are your dream features of the house?
3 bedrooms minimum. The family.
And a view. Yeah. So is this move all about the views?
Yes, I think it's really important that we've got something to look at that is not bricks necessarily, but trees and fields and nature.
And you've said lots of things that you would like. Are there no-nos about the property, things you definitely can't live with?
A low ceiling.
Yes.
So no beams?
I don't mind beams, don't mind that.
Rafters, you like rafters but not beams. How far away from the sea do you have to be? Do you need to be near a marina? Is it that important?
We've got to be within reasonable proximity of the marina. We sort of put 40 minutes to an hour distance from the sea.
Well, we found 3 very, I think, beautiful properties, but then I'm partial. And I hope that you like them as much as I do. So let's get in the car and go visit.
Lovely.
Right, follow me. For a top budget of £650,000, Hugh and Christine are looking for a minimum of 3 bedrooms, a large kitchen and dining area to accommodate family parties, an annex or outbuilding with options to convert, the possibility to refurbish to their own style, all in a village setting with views of the Dorset countryside and a maximum of an hour away from marinas on the south coast. We found 3 fantastic Dorset properties to tantalise them, and before I reveal each price, I'll be asking them to guess just how much they think it's worth. The last is our mystery house, which is out to challenge what they think they want in a home. But first, it's house number 1. How much of a reluctant crew member are you, Christina?
I'm only reluctant when it's really very windy and pouring with rain.
I'm with you there.
Yes, but you don't exactly go out when the weather is like that at the start, unless you have to.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing, isn't it? You go out when the weather's not like that at the start,
Yes.
and then 2 hours later it is like that. For our first offering, we're travelling to the north of the county, close to the border with Somerset, to the village of Nether Compton, around 50 minutes from Weymouth on the south coast. The pretty village of Nether Compton comes with its own 13th century church and village hall, and is served by a local shop that provides gourmet food and fine wines. But before we find our first house, I'm taking them to meet resident Stuart Glasby for an insight into this community-spirited village. Now, this is Stuart. Now, Stuart is the chairman of the village hall.
Hello, yes. Good to meet you.
A key player in the village. And I believe, this is true, that Nether Compton was voted the 6th most desirable village to live in England.
It certainly was, yes.
Oh, see, I bring you to all the best places.
Thank you.
But I'm quite keen to know what makes it the 6th most desirable village to live in.
I think one of the things is that most of the people in the village are prepared to join in and enter into things. And we have a progressive supper.
Oh, great
in
fun.
the winter time.
We love that.
The supper's organised, and no one really knows where they're going to start with until they get their paper at the bit. And we go to all people's houses, and they do a part of a meal, so that you go to 3 different houses, and then we meet back at the village hall at the end.
This is actually something we would love when we move, to really get immersed in the village life.
Thank you very much, Stuart. You did an extremely good sales pitch.
Good to meet you.
Talking to you,
Thank you.
And I do hope you come.
In the centre of the village lies our first house, a 4-bedroom renovated property with stunning views of the Dorset countryside. I thought I'd bring you out the back because you get a better view of this lovely property.
Wow, look at that.
Yes, look.
And this would have been 2 dairy cottages. About 200 years ago it was built.
Right.
And it's been extensively remodelled over the years.
I love
it.
Love the porch. And that extension's looking very exciting.
Yes.
And the rest, let's wait and see.
Shall we go inside?
Yes.
Lovely, yes, please.
We've made a splendid start with plenty of positives on the outside, so let's see if the interior can deliver, with space top of their list. Come on in. Hugh, you may have to... We're doing the Hugh height test. Did you make it?
Oh, look at
lovely,
this.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, now I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
What is it that jumps out at you immediately?
Oh, the beams.
Yeah.
The spaciousness, because this is a family entertainment.
So this was the extension that they put on relatively recently. And as you say, lots and lots of space. Were you OK coming in through the...
I'm okay, but one just needs to take it into consideration.
So on the ground floor, on the other side, when we came in, you've got the utility room and there's a toilet shower.
Right.
So there's some amenities there. But there is one, the sitting room, more snug room through here. Yes, I imagine this is more of a sort of wintry room or a TV room.
But it's got a nice, airy
Cosy
sort of...
feel to it.
Yes. Cosy little room.
And you've got a sort of log burner, wood burner behind you.
I approve of that.
That'll please you.
Yes.
Quaint.
Let's have a little peek at the master bedroom upstairs.
Okay.
The downstairs is completed by a study, and although they seem to like the house, I'm not convinced they're smitten, with ceiling height an obvious issue. Come into the master bedroom.
Oh,
Again,
this is nice.
mind your head, Hugh.
Oh, I like this. I like the ceiling. Yes, and built-in cupboards, which is always a plus.
Right.
So these beams are not too low for you?
Not for me.
They're marginal, but they're not, yes. I wouldn't like them any lower.
And are there any negatives? You're being very charming.
No ensuite, which is what we've got used to, but we haven't seen the rest of the house.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you look upstairs on your own a bit later, but let's get out into the sunshine. I think one of the biggest selling points, however, is this beautiful view.
Oh, it's beautiful. Lovely.
Very nice.
What we don't really give you here is an outbuilding to convert.
Yes,
You have
Right.
a very nice sort of wooden framed sort of double garage and storeroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think of the property as a whole? Is it a contender?
It's a contender, but for me, it's all been done, and I'm not sure what I would change. I am concerned about the low ceiling and living with it.
It's pretty. Somehow I'm not getting a... I love it.
And what do you think about the price?
I think perhaps 575.
No, I think it's much less than that. I think it's probably nearer the 500 mark.
OK, so this property is on the market for 625.
625.
Right.
Well, that's an indication of what you get or what the prices are in Dorset and down here.
So why don't you have a look around and then we'll meet again outside and go on to the next property.
Lovely.
Right.
Thank you.
Interesting wake-up call about the price. It's difficult when you move from Petersfield, which is a completely different market, into this very lovely bit of Dorset to really gauge the prices, so I think that's quite a good wake-up call. Under budget at £625,000, this stone cottage gives them 4 bedrooms, a good-sized kitchen with dining area, ideal for family gatherings, a sitting room with wood burner, a decent-sized garden, and all with stunning views of the Dorset Hills.
First impressions were it's a little bit small, but absolutely love the extension. I think Hugh is going to be frustrated with the space getting up and down the stairs. It's got its pros and cons, so I think it's open to debate at this point.
I think the house is very nicely done, very nicely extended. It's just a wee bit on the smaller side for me.
That's funny. It's perfect for Hugh and Christine. Hello, guys. Hi. I have to drag you away, I'm afraid. Time to look at our second property.
Excellent.
Did you see this?
Yes.
I love that, yes.
We're off.
Dorset's lush landscape is home to some striking architectural landmarks conceived to make the most of their surroundings. One of its oldest historic manors is Mapperton House, which has one of the most distinctive gardens in the southwest of England. With Hugh and Christine looking for new activities in their retirement, we arranged for them to gain a personal insight into this horticultural delight from its owner, the Countess of Sandwich.
Hello, how lovely to see you. Welcome to Mapperton. One of the most important things, I suppose, about it is that it stayed in the same family from the 14th century right through to the 20th, all the way through. But the really good thing about it is that it went through the female line. The house was bought by my father-in-law in the 50s. At the time, this house was being lived in by an old bird called Mrs. Labouchere, and it was in a frightful shambles. There was ivy all over it, this courtyard hardly existed, and he pulled it together, and we came and we've been living here since the 1980s. And what you need to see are the gardens, because they are extraordinary.
Mapperton's terraced valley gardens are famous for their romantic setting and sense of peace, epitomised by Fountain Court, the Italianate garden which was laid out in the 1920s.
Come in and see the formal topiary gardens, which are one of the prides of Mapperton.
This is fantastic. It's beautiful.
Well, it really is lovely.
Lady Sandwich, who designed the garden?
Well, this part of the garden was designed by an architect, but it was basically designed by Mrs. Labouchere in memory of her husband and created an Italianate garden. Every single thing comes down to the fountain in the centre. That the water going up in the centre of that pond is the focus of the whole garden.
It's so attractive how it's designed within the valley.
It lies in its coombe, in its deep valley. It's a tumbly countryside, this area of West Dorset.
South of Fountain Court is the Pool Garden, characterised by its long 17th century fish ponds. The gardens rely on day-to-day care by a team of gardeners, one of whom is David Greenaway Rowe, who's going to pass on a few tips to Hugh.
David, how do you get character in a garden? I mean, you're speaking to the person who does the humping and heaving. Christine's the one who looks after the weeds and things.
Well, it's one of those things where you can actually be overly tidy. It's nice to let some things just droop over, like we have the cercis over there, which is just drooping over the path, as well as just letting some plants sort of self-seed and freely climb. They shouldn't really be there, but we let it happen because when the flowers come out, it provides so much more interest than just having a straight border with, you know, one particular type of plant in.
Hugh and Christine's love for Dorset seems to have flourished from their inspirational promenade through Mapperton's heritage, and hopefully they'll be able to apply their newly found gardening tips to Dorset soil if we can find them their perfect property. For our second property, we're moving eastwards to the hamlet of Hartgrove, a short distance from the village of Fontmell Magna, and about 45 minutes from Bournemouth. The charming village of Fontmell Magna, with its Grade 2 listed church and the Fontmell Brook running through its centre, is the local point for picking up essential supplies, offering a village shop and a post office. A short distance away in the hamlet of Hartgrove is house number 2, an unusual 4-bedroom property over 3 floors with stunning panoramic views towards the distant Duncliffe Hill.
Oh, look at that view.
Come on in.
Come on.
Don't get too excited too soon. First of all, let's take in the property.
It looks fairly modern, actually. Looks newish.
It is? It's
Lovely.
from the 70s.
All right.
Yes.
OK, well, by comparison, that's new.
Yes, exactly. Sort of vintage.
Yes.
You've already spotted the kind of the major
Yes, the little
point of
bit
this
over
house, which is its incredible position.
Yes.
But before we take all that, any problems with a more modern property?
No, not
No.
at all.
Oh.
Very open to see what's what.
What do you think, Hugh?
No, exactly the same. Very open.
You wanted quirky.
I like quirky.
So, thumbs up from the outside?
Thumbs up.
Looking forward to showing you inside. Come with me. Mind that it's a bit slippy. We're off to a great start with this beautiful setting. And they're also very positive about this property's individual style. With family gatherings to cater for, I'm banking on the interior, arranged over 3 floors, to deliver the space they need. So...
Oh, my goodness, look at that.
Lovely. That's what you want.
Well, yes. It feels so airy and spacious but also inviting. There's something really nice about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a huge, big, blank canvas.
Yes.
But your eye is clearly drawing you this way, so let's go this way.
Oh, yes. Oh, look at that.
Fabulous.
You can see 3 counties. There's Wiltshire over there, Somerset over there, and Dorset that way. You wanted views, and we were thinking this cannot be bettered.
Absolutely. And what I love is all these doors so we can get out and feel like we're right in it.
Yeah.
Which we are, of course.
But this space, I think, is just amazing for your family.
Oh, yes.
Get together, because this would be your dining room, I guess.
Definitely.
Living area.
Yeah,
I reckon.
living area. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll let you have a look at the kitchen a bit later. It's a very lovely modern kitchen. But I want to take you upstairs, because guess what? There are more views.
Goody.
The downstairs seems to have well and truly hit the spot. So let's hope it continues as we head to the 3 bedrooms upstairs. This would be your bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Look at this.
Oh, gosh, look at that. You wouldn't need to
wake
get up, would you?
And what's nice is that each of you have your own view. You on that side and you on this side. You get your own window.
Yes. So we could sit in the morning and say, how's the weather your side, dear?
Yes. Yes, indeed. And an ensuite. But one of the really great selling factors about this house is what's down below. 2 further double bedrooms complete the sleeping quarters. And I've got a surprise for them on the lower ground floor. Come into this surprise.
Golly!
Oh, dear.
Oh,
So
wow.
downstairs you've effectively got a little maisonette.
Oh, goodness. Yes, thinking of our son, when he's boomeranging back.
Yes, exactly. So on the other side of the little landing there you've got a kitchenette and a bathroom, toilet and a bath.
Yeah.
And then here you've got a space which you could make into a little bedroom.
Yes.
Which you can hive off the family when they come and visit.
They have their own entrance there that goes through the double garage. That takes you into the garage.
Oh, right.
Right.
And then, of course, you've got a little sunroom and then your own private balcony.
This is a lovely big space, isn't it?
Shall we go outside and then you can see
Love to.
more? So far, it looks as though house number 2 is leading the way. And with only the garden to see, it could be a serious contender. I think this is a really intriguing garden. And probably about the same size, about 1/3 of an acre, but obviously laid out in a very different way.
Very different, yes. I actually like the different layers. And every layer, your eye is still drawn to the view. You're never going to miss it.
No, no, absolutely not.
Which is lovely.
It's just something we had never come across, considered before, but I like it. They'll have a wonderful life here.
Well, I suppose the big question is, how much is it going to cost?
Well, I'll go first this time, and I think it is nearer our budget, but I'll go in for 625.
I think it's 650.
Well, it's actually pitched above your budget. It's on at 675.
OK.
But, of course, there's always room for negotiation. Why don't you go in and have a look a bit more? So head back in, and if you can find the way, I'll meet you at the front.
Lovely. Thank you.
This unusually configured 1970s property has the stunning views they're looking for, but it is over budget at £675,000. It gives them 3 main bedrooms, including a master with ensuite, a self-contained annex with a 4th bedroom, kitchenette and sitting room, ideal for family visits, a large L-shaped sitting room and dining area, extra living space with a glazed veranda, and all looking out over the spectacular West Country scenery.
Lots of space, big rooms, and ample for us to do in the garden, just tweaking, modifying it here and there. We just hadn't seen anything like this. Would we have considered if we saw it on the internet? I think seeing it does it so much more justice.
I actually like this house. I love the way it feels very different in each place. The different levels of the house is fun. And the garden feels like it's lots of different rooms, but every single one of them has the view. It's like, that's it. So one more peek at the view, because that's your lot for the day. Time to rest and recuperate before tomorrow.
We're continuing our house search in Dorset with Hugh and Christine from Petersfield, Hampshire, who have £650,000 to spend on their countryside relocation. Coming up, our mystery house leaves everyone mystified. I'm a little unsure about whether you like it or not.
I'm a little unsure as well.
And I get some tips on grasping the ancient art of stonemasonry. It's a lovely blustery spring day here in Dorset for our second day of property hunting for Christine and Hugh. And I think they're on the horns of a very familiar dilemma for this show, that is choosing between a property and the location of the property. Now, the mystery house doesn't really solve that problem for them because we're giving them something that they do want in terms of location, being close to their beloved sea, but we're giving them something that they hadn't asked for in the property, and that is a very familiar landmark here in Dorset, the thatch. Hugh and Christine had discounted thatched roofs as they're traditionally associated with low ceilings, but the mystery could give them something to think about, as well as the opportunity to put on their own stamp. We're moving closer to the sea, to the village of Askerswell, near to Bridport, and around 17 miles from Weymouth, a possible home for their yacht. The pretty village of Askerswell lies in an area of outstanding natural beauty and has a mix of old traditional stone cottages and modern properties. For a wealth of local produce, the ancient Saxon market town of Bridport is nearby, known for its rope and net-making industry since the 13th century. On the fringe of Askerswell village lies our mystery house, a 4-bedroom hamstone cottage edged by woodland. This is the mystery house.
Very nice.
This looks very exciting.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yes.
And I've noticed up there a little plaque that says 2002, which can only mean it's fairly new.
Yes, very keen-eyed.
Although it has got an older thatch, so that's mixed messages, isn't it? I am quite excited to see inside, I must admit.
Let's have a look inside. Thankfully, they're not put off by the thatched roof, so a great start. And hopefully it'll carry on inside, as the mystery house does offer them something to cater for their family visits. Come on, let's look at the kitchen first. It's a lovely, well, it's an old country kitchen, but actually it's brand new.
This is very nice. Lovely and warm in here, which is such a lovely feeling.
Yes, well, you've got
Nice
the old
range.
range cooker. That's kind of giving off lots of heat. And if you look over here, you've got this sort of, well, I suppose what it is, like a nook, or a sort of, I suppose you could put a dining table in there.
Yes, you could do. Or just have it as a little snug, like it is.
Good, so I'm getting
It's very
mixed
positive.
message.
You should be.
Positive.
Yes.
You're being quite sort of cagey on this one. Flowing with comments yesterday. Early days.
Yes, early days. Let's have a look at the rest.
Okay, let's do that. A more reserved reaction to the downstairs, but unlike house number 2, this property has potential. Okay, so this is the living space.
This is nice.
Spacious, lovely. Yes.
Oh, I like the doors.
So you can block that off. You can have a formal dining room that's separate. Obviously, you can open it up and have it all as one big, colossal living space.
Nice big fireplace.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
That's what I
actually,
was looking for.
and lovely quality wood floors throughout.
Interesting.
What do you think about the layout? Can you imagine what you would do here, how you would use this space? Because this is pretty much the downstairs.
Needs a little thought, I think.
Not impossible.
This is completely different. Complete. The mystery house.
It is. But I'm a little unsure about whether you like it or not.
I'm a little unsure as well.
They're still playing their cards very close to their chest, but I do have a couple of surprises up my sleeve which should swing things in favour of the mystery house. Right, this is the master, because it's the largest.
This is a surprise.
Yes.
This is nice. Lovely big room.
Big ensuite. You've got a family bathroom also on the landing.
Very good.
And there's lots of room around. The whole place is,
And lots of windows, which is nice.
Yeah.
I like the light, so that's lovely.
There's 2 really good-sized doubles here and then 1 smaller room, but plenty of space for the family. But there is one feature of this cottage that we thought was a definite draw, and it's outside.
A big plus point for the master as we head outside to the garage for my final surprise.
In the garden, you've got another house.
Oh, wow.
It's a fully functional annex.
Which
Very
is just
good.
what we were looking for.
Yes.
But you've got a bedroom and a little tiny bathroom at there, kitchenette here. Well, this is not a listed building, so of course in the years to come you can tweak it as you like. Shall we have a look in the garden?
Yes,
Talk
lovely.
about price.
Oh, yes.
The annex seems to have changed their outlook, but it remains to be seen if the mystery house has completely won them round.
So once again, the plot is about 1/3 of an acre. I'm afraid we haven't been able to get you much more. But you do have this rather grandiose Iron Age fort as the backdrop to your garden. Doesn't belong to you.
Wow. Suddenly part of the ambience of the garden.
It is indeed. So this is the sort of like the grass laid out lawny garden, and then there's the very sizable patio, which is a massive sun trap around the other side of the house.
Yes, very nice.
I do see the potential for having an extension, a double door, out from the sitting room, and having a conservatory.
Well, what do you think this modern thatched property is on the market for?
I think we're looking at 680, 690, something like that.
I would like to think it's a tad less than our budget, so I'm putting a figure on of 635.
This is actually on the market for 625.
Oh,
Makes it interesting.
yes.
Why don't you go inside, have a look round? Well, you know the score. I'll meet you at the front.
Lovely.
We'd like to do that.
Our mystery thatched property comes in under budget at £625,000, giving them the opportunity to extend further, and has 4 bedrooms, including a large master with an ensuite, a spacious sitting room with inglenook fireplace, a large kitchen breakfast room, a self-contained annex above the double garage, all surrounded by the rolling West Dorset countryside.
Another interesting choice. I think there's lots of potential to tweak and change things. I think I would be exploring the possibilities of extending out a little bit with the conservatory into the garage to take advantage of the southerly aspect.
I like this because it's a modern house dressed in old clothes. It just feels like it needs a little bit of love and attention. The other thing that's a big draw is the accommodation over the garage, which is something that we did desperately want. It's needing a lot of thought. It's definitely in the picture.
OK, guys, that is your lot. I do not have any more properties to show you. So why don't you head to the car and you can have some thinking time.
Thank you.
We've served up 3 charming properties for Hugh and Christine, but there are plenty more to choose from if, like them, you want Dorset's undulating scenery to be the backdrop to your perfect country home. For a reasonable budget, you can still find the idyllic country location close to the coast, with charming 3-bedroom thatched cottages like this one in Beer Regis, including feature beams and a cosy fireplace on the market for £350,000. If you can stretch the budget a little further, this renovated stone cottage, originally 2 dwellings, that sits in the shadow of Corfe Castle, combines modern living space with original features and can be snapped up for £495,000. But for those looking for more space, a renovated farmhouse like this 6-bedroom, 16th century offering in Sturminster Newton, with converted barn, swimming pool and delightful orangery, is on the market at £790,000. The natural bedrock of Dorset has shaped not only the county's architectural heritage, but also the nation's. In an area known as the Isle of Purbeck, in the southeast corner of Dorset, the quarrying of stone has been a defining feature for centuries, providing material for buildings all over the country, including St Paul's Cathedral and Westminster Abbey. I've come to St Aldelm's Quarry in Worth-Matravers near Swanage to unearth more from stonemason Andy Webster.
Andy, very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
I've travelled all over the country and often come across bits of, not if it's your work, but certainly Purbeck stone. So it's quite nice to be here and actually see it in the raw. Have you got any examples you can show me?
Yes, we've got a piece over here.
The stone around Purbeck is excavated from different layers or beds, from 45 million to 145 million years old, which yield a range of stone finishes.
Have you got any Purbeck stone?
Yes, well, in fact this is one here. This is actually one of the Purbeck marble beds. And this is more or less as it's come out the ground.
And this is what it ends up... Oh, God, it's really heavy. This is what it ends up looking at, which is beautifully detailed. Really dense.
It's literally millions of fossil pond snails.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Purbeck marble is not marble at all. It's a fossil-rich limestone, but it gives a beautifully polished marble-like finish, used in cathedrals since the 13th century.
This is the Purbeck marble infilling footprints in the layer below.
Footprints of what?
Well, the Purbeck bed's a bit lagoonal, so on occasions the lagoon was raised above sea level, or the sea level dropped enough for creatures to start walking across it. So here you have a dinosaur footprint.
A more workable stone is the Portland Pond Freestone, a creamy white Jurassic limestone that can be found in many celebrated buildings, from the British Museum to Windsor Castle. And Andy is going to use this to teach me the basics of stonemasonry.
And what are we doing? This is clearly something that you've started before.
Yes, well, what we've got is a piece of moulded work, moulded on both sides. What I'd like you to do, you see there's a line here.
Yep.
Yeah, well, you need to go above that line. We're not going to get a clean break right down to the line. If you manage to do that without any further work, then we'll employ you. So, a little bit above the line, and I'd like you to hit that off. Nice swipe, please.
And a big old whack.
A big old whack. Bigger than that. Bigger than that.
Oh, yeah, it's quite tough, isn't it?
Oh. There you go. And there's a chunk of waste gone.
Oh, that came off quite easy. It'll be easy to kind of just take a bit too much off. I imagine part of the satisfaction is actually that experience. But also, do you have the satisfaction of going to some building and going, well, you know, I made that plinth?
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you've done something, especially restoration work, you go to a cathedral and you've reproduced something that was originally done 800 plus years ago using
the same techniques, pretty much.
Generally the same techniques when it comes down to this kind of thing, where you're forced to use manual mallet and chisel. Obviously things have changed because we've got large machines that can cut surfaces square and clean.
So they did it all by hand?
Flat surfaces like this would have had to have been produced by hand. And that is quite demanding.
Well, I'm very glad that we could do our bit for safeguarding this great bit of heritage. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm not going to touch that anymore because clearly you were getting a bit nervous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's gratifying to know that centuries-old skills are still being employed today and hopefully for years to come. But for now, it's time to find Hugh and Christine to see if they've come to a decision.
Usually at this stage of proceedings, I know pretty much which house our buyers are going to go for. But with Hugh and Christine, I don't have a clue, so let's find out. Now, guys, usually at this point, I would say, well, clearly house number 1 or house number 3 wasn't any good. What do you think? But in this instance, I have no clue which of these 3 houses you like. So, do you have a clue?
I think not number 1. We absolutely loved the village. Not sure about the house at all, mainly because it was so difficult for Hugh to get up and down the stairs. So that leaves us number 2 and 3.
And Hugh, do you have a preference of those 2?
I think 3 has a marginal preference over number 2 because I think it would be easier to look after compared with number 2.
If we're thinking long term, going into our old age, it was quite a long way from the bottom of the garden to the top of the house.
Right. Well, that's good. So you're thinking long term?
Yes. What I liked about the Mystery House so much was that we could definitely make it our own and change all sorts of little things and tinker with it, which is exciting.
So what happens next?
We're remaining here in the area for the next couple of days, so we want to have a quick recce.
And see the houses again.
Yeah.
So which ones would you revisit?
Oh, definitely 2 and 3.
Great.
And also, I think it would be nice to just have a chat with the children, because we want it to be a family house, not just ours.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that we've sort of got 2 in the running. I wish you all the best, and I hope you find somewhere soon.
Thanks very
Alistair,
much.
thank you very much. It's been great fun.
Ditto. Although we didn't get them down to this lovely bit of the coast, I think this was a great success of a show for Hugh and Christine, largely because we got them excited about moving down to Dorset, even though they may have been a little confused by the riches offered by our 3 properties. Still, that's sort of our brief on Escape, and I hope you've enjoyed the show and will join us next time for more perambulations in rural Britain. Even though they liked our second property and the mystery house, Hugh and Christine felt they hadn't got the full package they were after in terms of house and location. However, they continued their search in the area and have since made an offer on another property. If you would like to escape to the country in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, or indeed further afield to the continent and need our help, please apply online at bbc.co.uk/be-on-a-show. This windswept beach is home to a very strange natural phenomena, which also makes it one of the most perilous beaches in Europe. Find out why in just a moment. On today's show, I'm helping 2 enthusiastic sailors find a countryside village in which to drop anchor. They have a very specific agenda. So these beams are not too low for you?
Not for me.
They're marginal, but they're not, yes. I wouldn't like them any lower.
And are very excitable.
It feels so airy and spacious, but also inviting. There's something really nice about this.
Yeah.
Today I'm in Dorset, and this is Chesil Beach, the longest shingle bar in Europe. And back in the 18th and 19th century, it was sadly the site of many drownings and shipwrecks because of the very strong tidal currents. But that same sea has a curious effect because it hits the 18-mile-long beach at an angle. It perfectly self-selects and arranges the pebbles. At that end, near Portland, they're as big as my fist, and right at the other end at Burton Bradstock, they're like little peas. And the rest of Dorset's quite interesting too. Buying a property in Dorset is quite expensive. If you look at the average price of a detached house, it's £316,000. That's 25% above the national figure. But if you scratch the surface, that is a little bit misleading, and the distortion is caused by the presence of sandbanks, the multi-millionaire's playground down by the seaside near Poole. If you take that out of the equation, you can still buy a very reasonable house along this lovely rugged coastline, but further westwards towards Weymouth. Now, our buyers today are both very keen on the sea, so let's see if they'd be interested in buying a coastal residence in Dorset. Retired couple Hugh and Christine have spent the last 21 years in the town of Petersfield, Hampshire. But they feel now is the time to leave the family home behind and begin a new chapter in their life out in the country.
Now that we've both retired in the last 18 months, we really want to think about the next 20 years.
This house has served us beautifully for bringing up a family, but it's not what we're looking for the next stage in our life.
It's the new era for us. The children have grown up, left home. We want a house that we can enjoy with them and their family and participate in the activities.
Key to the location of the new house is proximity to a shared passion.
We have a yacht and we need to have it fairly reasonably near to where we live.
Well, we've only had the boat for 2 years so far. We've had to do a lot of work to bring it up to spec.
It'll be also really nice just to go out whenever we want to and just look at the sky and say, oh, it's a perfect sailing day.
When it comes to style, they know what they're looking for.
The new house we'd like to be a bit quirky and not run-of-the-mill.
We want to accommodate the family when they come along. They're all growing up and getting their own families, so grandchildren are going to be on the horizon. We have one already, and our just thought a double garage with provision for accommodation on top so that they can be self-sufficient would be ideal. I would like the new property, I would like to have an open fire.
On the other hand, I'm not so sure about that because I always think of the dirt they create and the dust everywhere, and I know who will be doing that.
And they're not necessarily after the finished article.
We would like something that we feel that we can develop and improve. We would like to be able to bespoke a building to our needs.
All that